welcome back. Well, if you're from the New England area, then you are absolutely going to know who our next guest is. Former Bruin legend and hockey great Derek Sanderson joins me on the program. All right, Derek, I was reading this book, Crossing the Line. I got to tell you, I mean, it takes you on a roller coaster ride. I mean, anybody who knows you and your career knows that you've had your ups and downs, but I mean, you put it all out on the line here, literally crossing the line. Unbelievable story.
Well, it's a book about fear. It's a book about making mistakes. It's a book about forgiveness, redemption, friendship. It isn't like people think. A lot of funny stories in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of great stories in it, but when people look at it, they have to, you know, it's how did you screw up so badly, and then how did you get out of it? If it wasn't for friendship and family, I probably would be dead. It certainly should be in jail.
Well, ultimately, it's a story about redemption because you're here today and you're able to tell your story and reflect back on it. Do you have any regrets? Anything that you could have done differently in your?
No, I don't think I'd be the person today if I look back on it and said I would do this differently. Sure, would I, blow the money? No, I would not. I would give it to you, or give it to, Bay State Wealth Management. But I would give it to someone responsible and listen to what they have to say. That's what people who manage money do.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I just thought it would never end.
When I read this, you were at one point the highest paid athlete in the world, beating out Pele. And at that time, I mean, it wasn't as though it was just a slight increase. I mean, it was a massive pay raise.
I was making $20,000, $25,000 playing with the Bruins. We won 2 Stanley Cups, and I wanted this humongous raise to like 80. Mm-hmm. They weren't going to give it to me. No, hell or high water, they weren't going to give it to me. So I happened to be a free agent, and Johnny McKenzie said, "Hey, listen to these guys in Philadelphia. They might have some." And they offered me $2.65 million, and I said, "Wow." Yeah. And I was stunned. You
got to take that. Yeah.
And the book will tell you how I tried to turn it down. Eventually, it did not work out, and I ended up taking it. But I did. I owed Mr. Adams, Weston Adams Sr., a lot. And my dad raised me to be loyal, and I owed it to him to bring it to him.
You got all this money, and then you lost it all. What happened there? I mean, bumper sticker version, I know it's a lot of little things.
To do it quickly, I think, well, the first day I bought a Rolls Royce. Not an intelligent thing to do. I was taken advantage of because I was afraid to ask where my money was or what they were doing with it. There were some people had control over it, and they did what they did. And you don't think it's ever going to end. You think it looks like a telephone number.
Yeah.
That's 7 figures. I never dreamed I'd even make 5 figures.
Right.
And life can get you. Once you get into that rut, when you look at 30 and 30 and the athletes, Allen Iverson lost $200 million.
Yep. I know.
How can you do that?
Yeah.
Well, I can't say that because I do.
You're right. And one of the things too that people will obviously add some blame towards is drug and alcohol abuse and how that affected your life. Do you think that was sort of just another cross to bear in your life, or did it have an impact on how quickly you went through your money?
Well, it had an impact. Obviously, it does. Alcoholism is a terrible disease, and once you have it for life. Mm-hmm. There's no cure. Abstinence is the only cure. And to get sober, you have to let God turn your life over. And some major things a lot of people have problems with and they can't come to grips with. But I was very, very fortunate. After my 13th detox, mm-hmm. I met a guy that knew what he was talking about. And I listened, and I got better. Grace of God.
How important was it with your teammates, and Bobby Orr especially, in your recovery and in your ability to stay alive? I mean, those guys, you win the Stanley Cup, you must create some enormous, incredible bonds. Yeah. But how are those friendships today, and how did they get you through what you went through?
We were a very close team, and I knew Bobby Orr since he was 14, and Bobby's a very character guy. About everyone who talks about this is a nice guy, I don't want to name names,
sure.
But there's no superstar ever as good and as solid off the ice as Bobby Orr was. And he doesn't judge, but if you ask him for help, then there's some rules. And he's the best, salt of the earth. He's the best. And my mom and dad were great. I had 2 of the greatest parents that anyone any boy could have. And it's just, they stuck with me. Esposito stuck with me. My other teammates did. Harry Sinden did. So there was a lot of good people, but Bobby was the cornerstone, the key to the whole thing.
Now, the issues that you had with finance, with drugs and alcohol, you know, are compounded by the fact that you're one of the most famous people on the planet and you're on the Boston Bruins, you win the Stanley Cup. But these are issues that people face every day all over the place, nothing new. And you talked about in this book how it's really about fear and how you handle fear. What's the lesson that the guy who is battling these demons, putting in a 60-hour work week, trying to get through, what's the message for him?
Fear to you is not fear to me. Fear is what controls us. Fear is God's way of keeping you tentative about something that will harm you. That's a little pit of the stomach. Shouldn't do this. It's dangerous. You get that. You get it before you play. You've got to watch out. And when all you use alcohol for is to suppress feelings and emotions, it's its sole purpose. And then once you do, you're just dumb. You're just stupid. And then you want what you want when you want it. Alcohol is a way of making us very selfish.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be right back.